Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Sagar Data Labs. I hope all of you are doing great. Now, if you're someone who has just started his or her journey in learning SQL for data analyst role, then you are at the right place. In this video, I will be discussing all the topics to be covered in SQL basics so that you can build a strong foundation and learn SQL the right way. Now, if you're new to the channel, I would recommend you to go ahead and check my previous video so that you are aware of the roadmap and set the SQL lab in a right way. Now, having said that, let's get into the video. In this video, we will be covering all these topics. We will be looking at what is SQL, what is a database, what is a table, what is SQL used for, types of SQL command, and we will also write our first SQL query. So without delaying further, let's jump right in. All right, let's discuss what is SQL. Now, SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it is a programming language which is used to interact with the relational database. Now, relational databases are the databases in which the data is stored in the form of tables. Now, all of us know that table is a combination of rows and columns. Some of the popular relational databases are mySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL, Oracle Database, and SQLite. Now, whenever the data and the database is discussed, there is always one term which is talked about, that is DBMS. DBMS stands for Database Management System. It is simply a software which we use to manage our database. And client is an application which we use to write our SQL query which interacts with the DBMS to get the data which is required. Now, database is collection of data either stored in a structured form like in the form of a table or stored in the unstructured form like in NoSQL. When the data is stored in a structured form, it is called as relational database. And when the data is stored in unstructured format, then it is called as non-relational database. The example for non-relational database is NoSQL. Data is defined as the information which is stored in an electronic form. Think of table as an Excel sheet. The row of data is called as a record and a column of data is called as a field. Now, to access all the columns of the table in a database, we use asterisk sign. And if we want to access only some specific columns, we use their name when we are writing the query. Now, let's see what is SQL used for. Now, in the initial slide, I hope you remember I discussed that SQL is a language which we use to interact with the relational database. The interaction part is this. Now, interaction means we use SQL to either insert data in the database or the table, to retrieve data from the database, to update data in the database, and to delete data from the database. Now, let's discuss the types of SQL commands. This is a very important topic, so pay attention and make sure you get it right. And if commands are actually divided into four categories: DDL, DML, DQL, and TCL. Now, DDL stands for Data Definition Language. The commands which are used to create and alter databases and table come under this category. So we have create and alter as commands here. Now, second category is DML, which is data manipulation language. When we have to change or manipulate the data inside the database without changing the structure of the database or the table, then we use these commands. Insert, update, and delete are the commands which are in DML category. Third category is DQL, which are used to query the database, comes under that. And select is part of DQL category. TCL is transaction control language, where we go ahead and see the commands like commit and rollback. Now suppose you have written the SQL query and you are okay to save all the changes which you have done to the database and to the tables inside the database, then you can use commit. Now this will make sure that all the changes are saved. Another scenario, suppose you have written the SQL query and something went wrong, and now you want to roll back the database and the table in its previous form, then you should use rollback command. I hope you understood all these types of SQL commands because these are very important. And now let's move forward. Now let's write our first SQL query. Now we will go ahead and create a connection in SQL workbench, and then we will write our first query. So let me just close this presentation and let me open my SQL workbench. One moment. Now I'm just deleting this connection so that I can show you how to create it again. Just a moment. All right. I hope all of you are able to see this plus icon. You have to just click on that. You have to give the name of the connection. And you have to just click on test connection. Now it will ask you for the root password. I hope all of you have made note of the root password while setting up the SQL lab. So go ahead and enter that root password here. And make sure to go ahead and save this password in the vault so that you don't have to enter it again and again. Click on OK. And here it is. Successfully made the SQL connection. Great. Now you can go ahead and click on OK. And now you can open this and just write this query to test that the connection works. You have to go ahead and write this query and click on, and if you are able to see 1 as output, then you are all good to go. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and in the next video we will be setting up the database and the tables in the MySQL workbench, and we will start learning SQL.